Hello and welcome to another episode of The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. Today is the day we've been waiting for when England get their Euro 2024 campaign underway against Serbia this evening. That match is, of course, on the BBC, and the three of us will be together again to bring you that coverage. So do tune in and join us for that. I think we're on about 7 o'clock. We're going to talk about that England game in more detail a little later on, but before we do, I need to introduce a very special guest. We've got joining us today, it's our very own Alastair Campbell, one of our sister goal hanger podcasts, of course, The Rest is Politics.
Father, I think.
The Godfather.
Father. Well, hang on a minute. You do it alongside Rory Stewart. You're a huge Burnley fan and, of course, Scotland fan. And I know you're at the game in Munich, so I'm sorry we're going to have to talk a little bit about that, Alastair. But for a little known fact, I'm sure you both don't know, Alastair and I went to school together.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Same class or?
No, he's a bit older than me, a little bit, about 2 or 3 years older than me, but we were in school at the same time. City of Leicester Boys' School.
And he was very
Grammar school,
so
Alastair.
you told me, and so I learned after leaving. Gary was a bit of a
Tosser.
no, he wasn't.
That was the word you were looking for.
He wasn't. He was like
He is
everybody liked him, and everybody thought he was really special. And we all thought he was going to be like a big famous cricketer.
I thought I'd had more chance at cricket.
At least that school produced one bright spark.
There's no need to have a go at a guest like that. I mean, he's just come in the building for crying out loud. I'm only distracting him because I don't want him to mention Maradona too early. Because you do have a tendency to share your experience on the pitch with one Diego Armando Maradona.
I've honestly, people think this is a joke, but it's true. I've mentioned it every day since it happened. No, seriously, every single day I've mentioned it.
Yeah.
Well, he was that good.
I always think about you guys, having been footballers at the level you've been at.
Yeah.
I think anything afterwards must be so boring.
No,
and that was one of the best weeks of my life.
What happened?
It was the first soccer aid.
Right, okay.
You played in the second one, didn't you?
I played in 2 or 3.
You definitely were in the second one, because
Right,
I was in, but then they decided I was too old.
Well, I saw your
51.
performance, Alice. There was a few clips they put out, didn't they?
I know,
The Rest
it
is
wasn't
Politics.
great, was it?
Oh, dearie.
It wasn't great. I wasn't great. I'm not going to pretend, but I was. But it was.
I think that might be shown again on our YouTube version.
Oh,
of
not the
this
bit where I fall
particular
over.
episode.
Not the bit where I fall over where the ball's nowhere near.
I know.
That bit, yeah, okay.
Definitely that.
Anyway,
bit.
I don't care. I still loved it. And when I came off, I said to my kids, I'm going to mention this every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I played with him as well, half a game for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And obviously against him on a couple
Yeah,
of
yeah,
very
yeah.
famous occasions.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think what people don't get about perhaps Diego is in the sense of, we all know how good he was. I mean, he was one of the greatest of all time, no question about that. I think only Messi compares. Yeah. But what a great guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what an incredible personality, charismatic. I know he had his issues in life, but
when he arrived, because we'd had a week training at Fulham's training ground, and then on the day before we came up to Manchester for the match, they told us that Maradona was coming, right? And honestly, my team, we had 5 World Cup winners in the team. Desai, Mateus, Dunga, and they were like kids. When Maradona arrived and came on the bus, and he saw Desai sitting there, and he goes, "Hey, Marcel," and Desai just goes, "He knows my name. He knows my name." Yeah. It was really good fun. And I had this, the thing that a lot of the players, I couldn't sleep. I was so excited after Hullet had told me I was starting, right? I didn't sleep. I got up. We stayed at the Lowry. I walked down, had a walk, came back. Maradona was the only other person who was up. He was jet lagged. And he said he wanted to go and kick a ball somewhere. So he and I went to Old Trafford, and I just had 40 minutes on the pitch, me and him just knocking the ball about.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Best ever. That's
best ever.
You mentioned Marcel Desailly. You did my favourite line ever in football punditry. He was one of 3 guests. It was Alan Hansen, who we wish well, by the way, which we talked about him last night on the show, and fingers crossed. And Marcel Desailly was one of the guests on the panel. I introduced the guests, and we've started to talk about Thierry Henry. It was a time where Thierry Henry was getting some stick from the French press, and we couldn't really understand it. So I said to Marcel Desailly, I said, what is it? What is the problem that they have with Thierry Henry in the French press? I mean, he's such a great player. He said, you have to understand. As the French, we have had some of the best players of all time. Zinedine Zidane, Michel Platini, Marcel Desailly.
He didn't even say me. He spoke to himself in third person.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Your experience yesterday, what was it like at the game? Let's talk about the atmosphere, the Scottish fans and all that. It looked amazing.
It was amazing. It was. I mean, the centre of Munich was like, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere you went, there were just thousands and thousands of Scots. Germans were loving them. I bumped into our ambassador down there, ambassador in Berlin, who went down to sort of keep an eye on it. And she said she just had the time of her life.
Did you see the British Embassy put out a
Yeah,
massive
yeah.
Scotland flag?
Yeah,
Yes.
The atmosphere was fantastic. I mean, I'm always a bit of a pessimist about football, but even I got caught up in this notion that they might just do something.
So did I, actually.
Oh,
and I'm,
God! And it was honestly, it was terrible. It was terrible. The game itself, the national anthem was the loudest I've ever heard.
Yeah,
and the bouncing off the roof was. It's a beautiful stadium. It was bouncing off the roof. But then as soon as the game started, it kind of went a bit tits up, really.
Yeah. It
Anyway.
was unfortunate you had to kick off, wasn't it?
They kicked off a lot, Alan.
If we could have bottled that optimism and the excitement and the possibilities,
Yeah, they kicked off every 10 minutes,
Yeah, I know. But I tell you what, once it was obvious they were going to lose, like 3-0 down to 10 men, I kind of went into neutral mode. And I was just watching, particularly Kroos and your mate Gundogan. Honestly, they were just...
Brilliant.
And Musiala as well.
Yeah, it's great.
They're so good, aren't they?
I think they could win it.
Do you have an affinity towards? I mean, because you speak the language so well. You speak German, don't you?
Yeah.
Fluently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's multilingual. French,
Wow.
German.
Yeah.
That is good, yeah.
Du hast in Deutschland gespielt, ja.
Nein. Nichts gut.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Very
What
good. Fluent.
What about Jude Bellingham's interviews in Spanish?
Oh yeah, he's learned. He's learned, which is great.
He's fluent.
Was he great? Was he?
He's not bad. He's pretty good. After just less than a year, I'd say really good. Made good progress. He's clearly had
way
lessons.
better than Gary after a year. Way better.
No.
Have you still got a bit of lingo?
Oh, yeah.
All Spanish?
Yeah.
He perdido bastante porque no tengo la oportunidad de practicar, pero hablo bastante bien.
That means,
Todavía.
Micah, you're a knob.
That is not bad.
How do you know? I could have said absolutely anything.
The accent. You got the accent, haven't
Well,
you?
I hope so. I was there for 3 years, but it was a long time ago. And it's, do you know now, when I went to, it was, and that's why I'm very kind of proud of Jude Bellingham, what he's done, because when I went, nobody there spoke English. Hardly anybody.
Yeah.
Hardly any of the players spoke English. So you kind of had to learn. So I went to school 3 times a week. But now Jude could easily survive in Madrid with just English. But he's obviously
He's
made
done
the
it. Yeah,
effort.
gone for
He's
it.
gone to school a couple
Is
of
Harry
times.
Kane bothering with German? Do we
I don't know.
I think you should. I mean, I think
It's what an opportunity to learn another language.
Totally. No, so I've always liked Germany, and I think there is something about the football team that I've always liked. So I think it's between them and France.
Do you?
What about England?
Can't see it.
Really? Is that just the Scottish
Interesting.
part of you?
I probably saw it.
I mean, come on.
I saw it before the fifth goal.
You're born in Burnley, raised in Leicester.
No, born in Keighley, raised in Leicester.
Sorry,
Keighley?
Yeah.
Keith,
Yorkshire?
of course you are.
Are you a Yorkshire lad?
His dad was a
Oh,
vet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
His dad was. Well, tell us how you support Burnley.
Well, it's only 20 miles away.
Yeah.
So Keighley's there on the
Yeah.
border between Yorkshire and Lancashire. You've got Bradford, Leeds, Halifax, Huddersfield and Burnley. And when I was, the first time I ever saw Burnley, we were reigning league champions back in the early 60s.
You were famous at our school for always wearing a Burnley scarf, wasn't
Always never took it off.
it? Never took it off at school.
I think it was my way of saying,
Saying, I'm not going to support Leicester City. That's
and
it.
I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I always felt that.
Really?
It's like when I go to Scotland, I get treated like I'm English. When I'm in England, I get treated like I'm Scottish. At school, at City Boys, the school we went to, me and my 2 brothers, Donald and Graham, we were all called Jock. Right, so I've always felt kind of a bit outsider.
No one likes me. I don't care.
Oh, fine. Anyway, so the head teacher, Mr. Bell, once called me in and
I
said
remember
that
Mr.
the
Bell.
teachers would like you to remove your scarf in the class. And I said, well, I'm not. It doesn't affect my education. I'm not taking it off.
Really?
Yeah, I never took it off.
I would have thought you'd end up being quite stubborn.
I know, amazing.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Burnley was like, I just fell in love with Burnley when I was like 4. And when we moved away, that's when when it became a bit of a drug.
Did you go to the games and stuff? Or?
Yeah.
He's always.
Yeah, I've been in 90, I think it's 94 away ends.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet you Blackburn was the best away end, though, wasn't it?
Blackburn away end when we won the title there. We won the league at Ewood Park. Yeah, that was good.
You were cheering us on when we won the league as well, I bet, weren't you, Blackburn?
Do you know what? I was never one of those people who hated Blackburn when they were doing well. I wasn't. I actually thought it was really good I thought it was good for football that another team was winning. And I also thought it was good for the area. Yeah. Burnley fans listening to that will absolutely destroy me. But I always thought that. I've never defined my feelings about stuff by enemies. Even in politics. I mean, I obviously want to destroy the Tories, but it's not kind of, that's not the motivation. The motivation is winning for your own side. So no, I thought you did very well. Bit lucky.
Weren't there times, even during, I think, when you were going through the Northern Ireland process and all that, that you took time out for football to see Burnley?
Scunthorpe away to get promoted.
Is that what, 2000 was it?
What date would that be? Mickey Mellon and Glenn Little scored. Stan Turnip was the manager. And Bertie Ahern was the Irish Prime Minister at the time, and he's got a big United fan. And the thing was going on and on and on. And I knew he was going. I think they were playing Newcastle, actually. And I knew he wanted to go to the game. And I said, look, can't we just set a deadline? If you go in and just set the deadline and say, this is not going beyond Friday, right? And it's got to be. Anyway, he did it. As it happened, he stayed on. But I did leave. I couldn't miss that one. No. It's got a playoff final. No way. No. Playoff the promotion game. We had two big.
Yeah. You actually used football a little bit, didn't you? When you were obviously with Tony Blair and stuff like that. I remember a thing with Kevin Keegan with the head. Was that your idea?
I can't remember how it came about. I remember that all my team were against it because they thought Tony would look a bit of an idiot doing head tennis with Kevin Keegan. But what Kevin had said to me, he said, don't worry about it because whatever he does with it, I'll get it back to him. and so when you see it, it looks really. Have you not seen it?
I've seen
27 headers backwards and forwards, which is not bad for a
for a prime minister.
Not a football. Yeah, he was leading the opposition then.
Yeah, and of course. Yeah.
So when you see it, you can see that Kevin's just kind of relaxed and very Kevin, and Tony's really concentrating. But if you think about it, if as soon as I was doing it with you could head it back to me like I would throw it to you, and you can see that's what's going on.
Yeah. It's not that hard, really, just heading it a bit. If you've got some on the other end,
I think it's quite hard when you've got about 200 cameras and a load of journalists desperate for you to make an absolute hatch of it. No, it was a good moment. Good moment.
You've sent me all your diaries, which I've read, obviously, Alastair.
You didn't buy them?
No, you sent me them.
Okay. I think. You could have bought them anyway.
You fool. I wouldn't have bought them, obviously. But I remember the bit in '96 when Alan was starring for England in the Euros. That was obviously the election that year. And you were quite worried if England won it, that it might have some kind of effect on the election?
Well, I was worried about... I think the Tories were in such a mess. I mean, not by comparison to the current lot, but they were in such a mess that they obviously felt there was something in this, that if they could get that whole kind of feel-good thing going in the country and England won it, and you get caught up in that. So I think actually, I doubt whether it would have helped them that much, but you start to think that it will. So I wasn't enjoying it at all. I was at the Germany game.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. I was at the Germany game. In fact, Tony and I were sitting just a few rows behind John Major, and he looked absolutely sick at the end.
Yeah.
And he, I'm sure it was because he'd lost, but I think he felt...
You would have been happy at the end yourself. Tony Blair as an Englishman.
Well, he's born in Scotland.
You can tell us now. It's not going to make any difference.
No. He wanted him to win.
Yeah, he did.
Definitely. Yeah. I was a bit neutral. I have got the kind of Andy Murray thing, I'm afraid. It's not that, and because in fact, sometimes I felt really difficult the last time round because I know Southgate quite well and I really, really like him. So I want him to do really, really, really well. But does that extend to, I don't know.
Do you think it can make any difference to this election? Obviously, there's an election on 4th of July.
Yeah.
And do you think if England start going well and there's that feel-good factor, is that something that perhaps the Labour Party should fear? Or
I don't think. I think they've gone beyond on it. I can't see how.
I keep hearing you on Orestes Politics saying Labour shouldn't be complacent.
No, they shouldn't be complacent.
It's not all over.
They shouldn't be complacent.
But now you're saying I think it's gone beyond.
No. What I mean
is this
by
a
that
shift?
No, it's not a shift. What I mean by that is I don't believe that Sunak and his team have the capacity to know how to handle that without it looking really, really naff. And I think you've got to be careful with football. You've got to be careful.
It's been one of my pet irritants. Whatever party politics
getting
you
involved in
support,
football.
as soon as the national team starts to do well, they all come out, don't they? And they're behind the team when they're never. Where are you when
Where are you now? We need you now. We need
No, but I
support.
think
Just blame their advisors.
Yeah, and I'm not siding either side. They're exactly the same.
it's difficult though. It's tricky,
Yeah.
this, because it's like, so last night at the Scotland game, John Swinney, Scotland First Minister, was there. And I said to him, listen, you're taking a day out of the campaign. He said, yeah, I can just about get away with one. And he, he genuinely wanted to be there. Labour's leader, Anna Sawa, decided not to go. You can get flack if you don't go to these things sometimes. It's like, you don't care. Most of these big games now, I think part of the shtick for UEFA, they always want to try and get political dignitaries there because they're very political bodies. So like Viktor Orban was there last night, obviously scouting for Hungary.
Were you scouting to get him on the pod?
I did ask him. Yeah,
of course
I did. Yeah, he was non-committal, I think. Is the word.
You do surprise me.
Scared.
Can I ask you about politics in football?
Yeah.
Do you think they should be in football or not? Because we get battered on Twitter. Oh, X, it's now called.
Yeah.
If we talk about anything political in football.
I think people. I mean, I honestly thought the fuss that there was over Gary when he was talking about the refugees and stuff, I thought it was utterly ridiculous. I thought the whole thing was absolutely ridiculous. I think if people have got a platform, they're entitled to use it. I don't say they should, but I think if somebody really cares about something, I think they're entitled to speak out. And I think sometimes, the truth is, politicians, they can't do everything on their own. You need voices around you. You need people from outside your own world. So and also this idea that politics isn't part of sport.
It's intrinsically.
It's totally political.
Yeah.
So much of sport is about politics. Where tournaments are, it's all politics. Where the Olympics get held, the way we treat Russia now. It's sport. You can't divorce them, I'm afraid. I think what you've got to be careful of is when either the sport tries to abuse that relationship or the other way around. That's when I think it gets a bit tricky. But I don't have a problem with politicians who don't really care about football turning up at the odd game. I don't have a problem with that.
No, it's just when they start wearing the scarves and pretend they're watching the.
I know.
I know what you mean. I absolutely agree with that. You've not given up hope on Scotland, though, have you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because this was always going to be the hard.
Yeah, I never ever thought they'd get anything out of the German game. I actually think Switzerland are pretty good.
They are.
I think that's going to be a struggle. So I guess the chance of a win is Hungary.
Yeah,
I'd have thought
that's got to be the big one because you could conceivably sneak through with
you
3
can come
points.
third. Yeah. So it's basically Scotland. Their only hope now is to win that one.
Yeah, and perhaps get a draw maybe against Switzerland. It'd be tough because Swiss are slightly underrated.
Here's the other thing though, for you guys. You see like that, so they go in with all that hope and optimism and all that stuff. They get absolutely battered and play badly. Fans start to lose a bit. A lot of fans left early last night, which I've never seen before.
Really, did they?
Yeah, quite a lot.
Oh, wow.
How does that affect you for the next game?
Yeah, it's hard. And especially where their game plan, it crumbled as soon as that first goal went in. That was their game plan shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Their game plan was to sit and defend and frustrate, and after 10 minutes.
It's hard. It's harder for defenders, though, isn't it? As strikers, you can get away with it a little bit.
Oh, here we go
If
again.
reviewing the game, it's the conceded 5 goals. What's that defender doing there? What's Robertson doing? What's Tierney doing there? Bad tackle for the red card as well. So I think it's defenders more so. Strikers can change the game.
That'll be difficult for them to pick themselves up after that.
It will. But at the same time, their pride will be damaged. They'll be absolutely determined to go out, and they need to have a go at it.
Yeah, and they'll probably say as well that but we didn't honestly expect much out.
Germany were bloody good.
They were great.
They were really
Yeah,
good.
they were.
Ultimately, you've got to have the players.
Yeah.
And Scotland is short, but it's not inconceivable.
Did you think Shankton looked better than Adams when he came on?
We sort of discussed it, didn't we, in terms of how frustrating it is, because when you go in as a forward, you're just going to have a bare night, because whenever Scotland ever got the ball, particularly first half, they just had nothing. And he had to come back and defend. What I also said was he could have made it a lot more difficult for the German defenders, when they had the ball, to try and channel them down to where he wanted them to go, to where he wanted to put them under pressure, or his teammates. But there was none of that at all. So it's very difficult to judge, because the game had gone. You're down to 10 men. It was damage limitation, wasn't it, second half? They had perhaps taking the foot off the gas a little bit. So that's a really difficult one to judge.
Was much made of the Steve Clark and his assistant having a little bar.
I saw that, the set piece guy.
He was a Villa, isn't he? Austin McPhee.
He squashed that today, didn't he? Though.
But it was pretty.
He said, I can't remember it. Is what he said.
It was pretty.
Which means something went on.
Given how calm normally is, it was. I thought he was right in front of us. It was quite something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about England?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've dismissed England as possible winners.
No, listen, I just think if I had to say who I think is going to win, I think Germany or France. But I think England could win it.
Yeah.
I think the front six is as good as anybody, isn't it?
I would agree with that. I've been saying that. I think
Well,
so.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's just getting the best out of them.
And it's also, I think you've got one or two problems in defence.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I think England at the best can beat anybody. No doubt about that.
Who's your favourite player for England?
I actually really like Jadon Sancho, but he's not going to. And I went to the Champions League final.
He's not going to be great in this tournament.
No, he's not. He's not. I thought he was brilliant in the Champions League final. I think in the current lot, there's something about Bellingham that's really, really special.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's going to be mega. I think he's going to be
he already
mega.
is.
No, but I mean, like,
Yeah, proper player.
real top flight celebrity fame as well. Because I think and he looks to me like he can handle it.
Does well, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's got
very,
got
very
something
good
about him,
speaker,
the
got a
aura and
lovely
everything,
manner. Obviously close to his family and all that, which I think is important. I think he's really, really good. I think I was really, really excited for Harry Kane because of the Germany thing. I was thrilled when he went to Buy Beauty.
Not as thrilled as I was.
I know you were, yeah. I mean, if you've never won a trophy, you've got to hang on to a record or two.
It was embarrassing, actually. He's got to go. It's a great move.
I'll take him to the airport and get a chauffeur's cap on.
But it must be terrible for him. Like you go there, and actually, I think I watched a lot of Bayern games last season. I watched it on the German telly. I like listening to the German commentary.
Yeah.
And I thought he was really, really good, but the team weren't. But I think Bellingham's going to be one of the players of the tournament.
Yeah, putting your old head on when you manage things for political parties. How do you think footballers do?
Footballers?
With media, and how do they cope? How can they do better?
I think some of them handle it really, really well. I think I don't think a lot of them. I know quite a few of them. I think a lot of them don't get the support they should.
Support from who?
Clubs.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous that you have kids who come through school. A lot of them probably not doing very well academically because they're obsessed with football. They get out, they become professional footballers, and suddenly, like 18, 19, 20, they're expected to have opinions. They're expected to know how to behave in public.
Yeah.
Swear on TV.
All that stuff.
My first interview was swearing on TV.
Through the F-bomb.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think they just need a bit of support in that. I think we expect way too much of them.
Do they? I mean, you're not that long finished from the game. Do they offer support?
They
give
do
help
offer support now,
Yeah.
but not when we was coming through.
No.
It was like shoved in front of the camera.
You can see the power that footballers have. I mean, go back 2 or 3 years. It's very different now, but go back 2 or 3 years with Marcus Rashford. I mean, he could get time in front of the Prime Minister. And the work that he did for the kids and what have you was incredible, wasn't it?
I mean, honestly, Gary, I wasn't going to plug my new book, but given his mention of
Go
Marcus Rashford, he's in the book.
Yeah.
I've written a book for politics
kids.
for kids, yeah. But no, I think that power. But my point is, I don't think footballers should be expected to do and be anything beyond being footballers. If they choose to be, or if they have a talent to do it, then I think that's fine. I even think the stuff with the media. I don't think just because you get picked out as man of the match by you guys that you should have to do interviews.
But they do them pretty well,
Most of them do.
I think for young men, really young men,
I agree.
I think they handle themselves.
But I actually think that whole thing about the demand. I get it for I think managers get asked to do too much. To be honest, I think it takes them off the stuff that they're really best at. And I know they use it and mind games and all that stuff. But if you think about towards the end of the season when Guardiola, how many press conferences did you have to do every week?
The ones before the game, I was fine. Tedious. I wouldn't bother doing them if I was in charge of production, stuff like that. Because they offer nothing. They're never going to say anything. No. They're not going to go, well, actually, I'm going to play like a number 10 just behind, a little sneaky tactic. And they're not going to tell you that, are they?
Yeah, so-and-so's training really bad.
Whereas the TV companies want more and more and more for the money, aren't they? I mean, you're going to see more in the dressing room before and at half time and whatever. That's just the way the game's going.
Well, it's already happening with rugby league, isn't it? It's one of the best things about rugby league. You see the half-time team talks.
Yeah, I'd have to tone them down a bit from our day.
Yeah,
Sure they would. Yeah, sure they would.
just a bit.
yeah.
Did you see the thing on the German telly yesterday with the guy interviewing the bloke lifted his kilt?
Oh, did he know?
Oh, really?
What happened?
He was interviewing this Scotland man, and some bloke just came and lifted his kilt, and there it was.
Oh, dear.
Live
Bollock
on-
making was it?
Live on German TV. Yeah.
Sporran as well was up there. Was
It
it?
was all up there, yeah.
Was it really live? Live.
Was it a cold day or was it warmish?
I mean, I think by your standards, I don't know,
Well,
but from what I hear.
Before we go, let's talk about Burnley. We talked a little bit about your support for Burnley, but what about? I mean, it must have been a pretty depressing season for you as a Burnley fan.
Yeah, it was. Well, last year before this season was fantastic. Great football, winning everywhere. This season has been depressing, yeah, no doubt about it. And then company leaving at the end was just...
To Bayern Munich.
I just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
What do you think about Company?
Listen, I thought he was fantastic in that first year. And I think that last year, I wonder if we had too big a squad. I wonder if we had too many players and they weren't quite gelling. I don't know. But I think that, I don't know, I think he just, on one level, admire him for sticking to what he was trying to do. But once you start lose, you start to think, shouldn't you change a bit?
Change your policy.
Yeah. I'm surprised at Bayern, though, because, you know, his records, you know, he had that one great season with us. Anderlecht wasn't a massive success. So anyway, we'll see how it goes on.
Yeah,
but,
it's a massive chance.
You must have. How many times did you play at Turpinmore?
I don't think I did.
You're joking.
Don't think I
played
did.
Oh no, because we're different
I
leagues.
played a couple of times.
Yeah.
It was tough there.
Yeah.
It was tough. For the first 10 minutes and after that.
You never played at Turpinmore?
Don't think I played there, no.
No, really.
Even when
We were
there was
Blackburn.
no derby there with Blackburn. No,
No,
we
and also
never
because
went
we
to
were
play. Yeah.
when you were at Blackburn and at Newcastle, we were always most of that time we were never in the same league. Yeah,
played
never
in
got in the cup.
Yeah.
No cup competition.
Cup
no.
last time we got to the semi-finals against Newcastle, 1974.
Yeah.
Who do you want as a new manager?
Uh,
It's not been announced. No. Any
Well,
rumours? Got any rumours for us?
Frank Lampard has been.
Well,
been
so, I mean,
mentioned.
there's been a load of rumours. Frank Lampard's been a rumour. Scott Parker's been a rumour.
Yeah.
Cooper's been a rumour.
Yeah. Same ones at Leicester, I think.
Yeah, some Belgian guy I've not heard of. He was a rumour. Steve De Zerbi's gone to Marseille. That's my French team. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
Who's your German team?
Well, it's kind of a bit Bayern now because of Kane, but Dortmund basically.
Yeah.
I like Dortmund.
Got more teams than me.
No. My rule is you're only allowed one team in your own country. You can have as many as you want elsewhere.
What if you played for a team? No, so I was.
Well, I've only played for the rest of the world with Maradona. That's my team. The rest of the world.
That's finished. Finished it there. That's it. Well played, Alastair.
Thank you.
And who played in that team?
Maradona.
Perfect. That's all for today's episode of The Rest is Football. Thank you so much, Alastair. Great to see
Pleasure.
you. And don't forget, listen to The Rest is Politics as we slide towards a general election. Don't forget also, it's England versus Serbia tonight on BBC One with the three of us. I think we're on about 7 o'clock. Fingers crossed we'll see England kick things off with a winning start. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.